Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I just did a review on one of my Vestiaire purchases, and I thought that maybe I should do like a back-to-back review on one of my Poshmark purchases. As you can go back and look on my videos and find that Vestiaire review, and I had purchased a pair of Louboutins, and this is also a pair of Louboutins that I bought again from Poshmark. And I'm just going to compare and contrast these two purchases. They're obviously the same brand. They're very different styles, as you'll see. But the shopping experience is just so different between Vestiaire and Poshmark, and I'll go through some of those differences, and you can kind of form an opinion if you haven't used Poshmark or Vestiaire. So starting off with this item, so as you can see, it is packaged in USPS postal supplies that you can just get from the post office, and Poshmark provides priority mail labels, so you can use any of their materials to ship, or you can like reuse your own materials that you have at home, like maybe from like some Amazon Prime purchases or things like that. But that is one big difference between Vestiaire and Poshmark. Sellers will ship things themselves and send it to you without necessarily there being an intermediary Poshmark step or authentication service, unless of course the item is over $500 and above. But otherwise you're going to get what you're going to get from the seller, and hopefully they took care to package your item well, especially if it's a more expensive item or something that's more rare or vintage or fragile, etc., etc. Vestiaire, on the other hand, will actually I believe there's an intermediary step for every purchase, and please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments below. This is a learning space for all of us. And so they're monitoring, they're doing quality control on the items that you are getting, and rightfully so, because you're paying often a shipping fee and an authentication fee. And if the item is coming from an international place, then you're paying maybe even more for like duty fees and such. So I hope that, you know, the item is going to be authenticated in between. Maybe the quality of it is monitored. Poshmark is not like that. All of the sellers are in the US. You're in the US. For other countries, you know, I think that Poshmark is still at the stage where they're buyers and sellers within the countries themselves, but they're not providing like international selling options yet. So anyways, so here's the item, and I actually haven't even opened it. I have no idea what things look like. I think I know the shoe that I got, but we'll find out. I've just kind of cut the tape to make it easier on me here, but all right, so I can see that they use this like large mailing box, and you can see like things are just kind of shaken in there. I mean, they did a good job. They tried to pack things well, but this is what I always try to do with all of my items. If I have an expensive pair of shoes, like I'm gonna try to put in some bubble mailer or just find a box that's better fit for the item themselves. But I understand that not everybody's a professional reseller on these platforms, and so they're just doing kind of the best job that they can. But I will say she actually did quite a good job. This it looks like this is more than just, you know, tissue paper. It almost looks like a Chuck's pad, honestly, which is kind of odd. It's very strange. Okay, so here's one shoe. Let's get, yeah, this looks like a Chuck's pad. That is really weird. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay. All right, and then it looks like there's another layer of tissue paper. I always worry about shipping my items in colored tissue paper because I don't know the quality of the tissue paper and whether, you know, if there is any sort of humidity and the tissue paper gets wet, you know, is there going to be color transfer on the shoes? I don't know. And so I personally tried to just use like white. And I don't know, that's just a personal preference though, but something to consider. All right, so I forget what this particular style is called. I'll figure it out and I'll put it in the title of the video. But so this is a shoe that I have sold one other time. It was a slightly different one. It was more of like a silver mirror little patches. This is more of like a gunmetal with almost like a rainbow sheen to it. But anyways, this particular style, or very similar to it, has been worn by Taylor Swift and probably some other people that I am not remembering right now. But that's kind of like its claim to fame, I think. But this is a shoe that was made quite a long time ago, probably in the early 2000s. I wish there was a way to figure out the year that these shoes were produced, and if you know of one, please let me know in the comments. But this is definitely an older shoe. It's going to be really hard to find it these days, especially in good condition. With this particular shoe, so I've sold it one other time, these patches are like a hard plastic, and you can just tell that anything that they get caught on, this plastic is going to fold. And this does have a little bit of that throughout. And here, I'll just kind of zoom in on some of the areas so you can kind of see, like right here, for example, there's just kind of some folding of that plastic. And I think that's going to be kind of unavoidable with this particular style. The outsides are not as bad. And then the heels, you can kind of tell also some of it is kind of getting caught. But each individual piece is stitched on there, which, I mean, that is incredible. That is so much handiwork that has gone into making this shoe. I don't even know how they do it. This is kind of crazy. So lots of craftsmanship went into the production of this shoe. And so you can probably understand like why this shoe was like $1,300 when it originally came out. So I can already see, you know, there's some wear, there's some kind of dirt on here, which I'll take some kind of Q-tips and maybe some Gooby Gone or something, and just kind of clean those areas off and do my best to just kind of clean those spots. Obviously where these little plastic things are coming undone, and I could tell that from the picture, you know, I think the seller did a really good job taking pictures, and so I feel like she, you know, I don't feel like I'm getting hoodwinked here and getting something that I didn't anticipate that I would. So I think she did a great job, but this kind of wear, I don't really think that this can be fixed. So other wear on this shoe, I mean, obviously they've been worn. I would say that these are probably in a little better condition than the other review that I just recently did on the Vestiaire shoe, which makes sense. I mean, this is probably like not as common of a shoe as the beige Pigalles that you would wear. This is maybe for like a more kind of special event or something. Yeah, so I can see that they've been worn. Obviously, there's some wear of that characteristic red painted leather, but overall the wear, I mean, they haven't really been worn that much, so probably just the paint has been kind of worn off, but otherwise there's still a good amount of thickness of that leather sole, so I know that they haven't been worn a lot. I can also tell that from the inside of the shoe, there's really no signs of like the color isn't coming off. It looks like some glue is peeking through, not really very dirty on the inside. So maybe a little bit of discoloration and color transfer on this suede back part, but really nothing too crazy. So otherwise, I would say that these shoes are in very good condition, close to excellent. I'll probably repaint the soles myself. I think the heel tips are actually in good shape still. So overall, I will say that I am very happy with my purchase. This is a super rare pair of shoes, has been seen on Taylor Swift. So maybe, you know, I'll do my best to get this listed right away, especially with the Eras tour kind of going on everywhere right now. And they just need a little bit of cleanup, and we'll get these babies listed. So overall, I think that the seller did a pretty good job in packaging. If and when I sell these shoes, I will package them in probably a better sized box for them, and with a little bit more like packing, so they're not kind of jumping all over around as they're getting shipped to the buyer. And you know, overall, Poshmark is kind of sometimes hit or miss with some of the things that you'll purchase, especially from people that are kind of randomly selling things from their home. It's, you know, they're not professional sellers, and I mean, I think that's kind of the expectation of Poshmark. You know, anybody can sell on there, and so you're gonna get kind of what you're gonna get. It's really important to pay attention to those pictures, ask all the questions before you purchase. But Poshmark has an excellent protection policy for their buyers and for their sellers, and so I think that's something that they've really got going for them. So would I say that Poshmark and Vestiaire is one better than the other? I think that they're just very different platforms and kind of for different consumers. So I think both are great places for you to kind of shop around. Both can have some really awesome items. So with that, thank you so much for coming and watching my video. I hope you learned something. I hope that you guys are at least entertained or like interested or find something educational about some of these unique shoes that I'm gonna share with you, or at least maybe about authentication or these platforms, whatever. So please like my channel and my videos, and see if there's any other videos that pique your interest, and stay tuned for more in the future. Thanks so much for coming to my channel. Okay, bye.